Hello, good afternoon. I hope this finds everyone doing well. I got on just a little dab early so that I can give you time to get your notification and get on. Turn down my volume. I thought I had muted, but I had not. So I hope you can hear me. I'll speak up. Turn my phone volume up just in case. All right, that looks pretty nice on my iPad. So this is my monthly card class, Facebook Live. My card class was yesterday. I had some wonderful stampers come and stamp. We are still socially distancing, so I can only have 4 at a time, but it worked out really well. Anytime you want to come, you just need to say, I want to come, and we'll spread out, wear our masks, do whatever we need to do to make you feel like you're comfortable and not being exposed to COVID. Most of us have had our vaccines, so we had a really nice time. I'm going to demonstrate the cards. I might not make them from start to finish because I don't want this to take the rest of the afternoon, but I do have some who wanted to-go kits, and this is the best way to be able to show them how to assemble their cards since they weren't here. I do have PDF instructions this time. If you're interested in purchasing that, it would be $10 for the PDF, but you would have to provide all your own paper and cardstock and stamps and everything to make those cards, but you would have cutting instructions. And then you'll have the pictures on Facebook, because when I finish demonstrating them, I will post them so that you have reference. So let's go ahead and get started so that we can get done. This month I used cards from the Assorted Memories and More cards and envelopes. There are 2 sizes of cards that are part of this package. This is a really good way to make cards without having to buy a lot of cardstock and envelopes, because they come with the envelopes. The largest card is a little bigger than we're used to making. It's 4.5 by 6.5, but the envelope is sized to fit. And then the other card is 4.5 by 3.5, and it also has an envelope to fit it. So I thought that would be a good introduction to that particular product, and we made this really cute strawberry card with that. So I didn't use my bone folder. I just wanted to show you the difference between a card like when you just fold it on the score line. If you don't use a bone folder or your thumbnail, a lot of times I use my thumbnail, or some object that you can use to tighten that fold, you kind of fight with the card and see what a difference. It's already laying flatter. So this one card does use paper that isn't available. It was part of the celebration papers, the Berry Blessings, but I have a pretty good amount of it, and I wanted to use it. And I thought if somebody just was dying to have it, we could make a deal of some kind about that. So you won't find this paper in any pack that you have unless you happen to have a gingham type. I got my fingernails done so they would be pretty. Now let me tell you, trying to pick things up with them is quite challenging. So our piece of Poppy Parade is cut 3 by 5, and then a piece of the basic white is cut 2 3/4 by 4 3/4 and run through an embossing folder. This set comes they're paired, and one has the leaves and one has what we're going to make our strawberry out of. So our strawberry has some texture. It's called greenery. Sometimes we overlook these embossing folders. They're hiding on pages kind of in the back of the catalog, and until you see somebody use it, you don't always notice that it's back there. I'm going to move my card right there. And that was the case this time. Somebody used it, and I'm like, where did they find that one? This one's going to be a birthday card. If you get a kit to go, you have to provide your own stamps. So you could make this anything that you want. So when I embossed it, I kind of tried to, might be a little crooked, it is, but that's okay. To position that embossing folder so that my sentiment would fit. I didn't want to stamp my sentiment first. You could, but then you might end up embossing on top of it. So I just kind of eyed it up. I looked at the card that I had made. This is the sentiment from that free stamp set that came with that paper. And I wanted to use the sweet strawberry stamp set. So I picked the birthday sentiment. We'll use this one more. It did carry forward to the new catalog. Oh, by the way, this week, like Wednesday, as a demonstrator, we got to see the new catalog, the new annual catalog that will be coming to your box sometime the end of April. And so we kind of got, now we know what's going to retire. You should have gotten an email from me about the retiring list. And we know what's going to carry forward. Sometimes it's process of elimination. And so this sweet strawberry and the strawberry builder punch, which we'll talk about here in just a minute, are carrying forward in the new catalog. So we'll have opportunities to use these more. Not the paper, because the paper's not available, but you don't have to have the paper to use these pretty things. I've already got some inspiration ideas of how to use that stamp set when you don't have the strawberry paper. So I'm going to layer that together. And my strawberry, I embossed it and punched it previously so that you weren't having to watch every step of the process. My hint on that is if you position your paper in, you kind of have to pay attention to what direction this is going, because strawberries would look sort of funny with their seeds, because you know they have them on the outside going sideways. So when I got ready to punch it, I had these strips that I had embossed, and all of a sudden it was like, which direction do you want your strawberry to go? So I thought I was embossing it so it would go this way and I wouldn't be wasting a whole lot of paper, but I didn't put it in the folder right. So we just punched a lot of extra pieces. But we punched out our strawberry. We punched out a leaf and a stem from Pear Pizzazz cardstock. And then we're going to stick that stem on the top of the strawberry. I like to use glue dots because you can stick one right here in the middle and just kind of stuck it right on there. And then the leaf can go either direction, however you want it to go. I think for this card, I'm going to make it go off. Well, if I can get it to quit sticking where I don't want it, off to the side. And kind of tilt it that way. So I've already mounted my Designer Series paper on my card base. And I've got that all put together. Now, if you want it to kind of have some dimension, you know, these lovely dimensionals that make it kind of sit up off the card so it's not just flat. Makes it a whole lot more interesting. And then the ribbon, it's actually ribbon from the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. And this particular one is, gasp, cut in half. I would have never thought to have cut it in half. It will fray if you mess with it too much. Oh, look at that. Pretty cute. I'm going to use a glue dot because I tied it previously so you wouldn't have to watch me tie it. Stick it on there and trim my tails. I kind of like to wait and trim it after I see it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down so it quits moving around. And pull it towards me a little bit. It might be off camera when I do that, but just kind of center it. Looks pretty good. And then you're ready to put your strawberry on here. Tilting it whichever angle you want to. This time I'm going to tilt it this way. And then embellish it with some of the Artistry Blooms sequins. We were talking about these sequins yesterday because they look kind of yellow when I'm holding them. But when you put this, there's several colors in the pack, but when you put it on your project, it's like it picks up the color of the project. And where do I want to put this one? I'm going to put it over here. I usually do these in odd numbers, and I've ended up with 4. So let's see where we want to stick this one. Yeah, I think it's going to need to go over here. Well, how about if I just stick this other one over here too? There you go. So I've used up that sheet. So that's a really simple card. I didn't stamp a sentiment on the inside, but since I made it a birthday card, a birthday sentiment on the inside that you might already own would totally be appropriate. And there you go. That's card number 1, using the largest of the Memories and More card bases. And I'm going to lay this one here so you can kind of be looking at it. And I think I have not actually tightened that seam. So this card doesn't want to lay flat. But I tightened it now, and it still doesn't want to lay flat. So let me get the kit for that one. When you're used to working with the half size sheet of cardstock, this little card looks kind of small. Here's we also use the sequins on this card, and see those are yellow, and there are blue ones in there. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of line up what we got going on. So it's all here and ready to go. So we're going to use the Dragonfly Garden. And I already stuck that one on, so we may go with that one. I had to use a different sheet of the paper. I didn't think I was going to have enough of the smaller design, but I did. But I thought for my live that I would use this larger, because you know you can see that it's a bit bigger. But I think possibly my dragonfly is going to be a different color, because the neat thing about this paper is it had dragonflies that are already colored, and you just use the punch. Oh yeah, that'll look pretty good. Circle. So let's go ahead and fold and use the bone folder and tighten our fold. And yeah, I'm doing it right on top of all of that. Please forgive me. And then we can go ahead and layer this on. This is the Dragonfly. Let me find the right one. The Dragonfly Garden Bundle. It's a bundle because it also has a punch that has the dragonflies and the stamp set. And in the current catalog, it coordinates with the Dandy Garden Designer Series paper. So we'll layer that on about like that. A lot of times I go ahead and do a lot of the die cutting so that our class doesn't go on for hours and hours and hours. And so I cut my circle. I believe I might have used 2 1/4 inch punch. I did. And I could have left that for my attendees to do the punching themselves, but like I said, it saves a little bit of time. I did let them punch out their dragonfly and do their stamping. Of course, I have to let you do your stamping. That's what it's all about. I think there's a song about that's what it's all about. How about if I put some more? Yeah, it didn't clean very nicely. Put that down there. So I stamped my sentiment in Blackberry Bliss. And I'm going to stamp my dragonflies in Bumblebee. Dragonflies, Bumblebee, the colors don't quite match up, but so they can go on here. However, I just don't want to stamp off and make a mess on my paper yet. Brand new piece of paper here, so we'll stamp off on there you go. Move this out of the way if I can get a hold of it. Clean my stamp. So I can lay it up there. Close this. Because you know what happens if you leave it open. You are more than likely going to stick a hand or an arm or a sleeve. Now, I'm probably going to have a little handle to hold on to this. They put the dragonflies on that paper pretty close together, so it's kind of challenging. I just went through and chunked them and cut them out so that everybody had at least a chunk in their kit that had a dragonfly on it. Of course, we don't need that little guy. He doesn't match anything. Can throw that away. So I've got a blue dragonfly. It also, at the same time, punches out a smaller one. And on the inside of my little card, I used a larger sheet and got a second dragonfly, so I just put it on the inside. But we didn't have that luxury with these. Okie dokie. I did not use dimensionals underneath this circle. It's mounted flat on the card. I did use under the dragonfly. Well, come on now. Don't do this to me. So I'm going to kind of do it over to the side just a little bit so this dragonfly shows some more. And I like to do that so his wings are up some. And what I'm going to do is use our mini, M-I-N-I dimensionals, and put it right down his abdomen so that that part of him is on the card, but the rest of him is not. So it appears that he is actually perched and ready to fly. So there you go. We'll run some sticky around that. The edges. I don't like my cards to fall apart, so I maybe get a little carried away with the sticky. Hope you can see. I'm trying to stay in the middle. And then we'll embellish it a little bit with the pretty sequins. So I'm going to use a small one over by the sentiment. And let's put it on the yellow flower. And let's put this one down here. So it kind of forms a triangle a little bit. That's supposedly how you design things. And then the inside sentiment, I stamped to make good things grow all year long. So that could be a birthday. In my mind, I was thinking, yeah, that would be a nice birthday sentiment. So that's card number 2. Not hard. It uses the bundle, the Dragonfly Garden Bundle. In the catalog, you can buy the whole suite of products. Some of them are back ordered right now. So that's the fun thing about this transition time between catalogs. you have something picked out and you're so excited and you're going to order it, and then it's back ordered. Things will, you know that boat that's stuck in the Suez Canal? That's a shipping container boat. Stampin' Up! Has containers sitting out in the harbors waiting to be checked in to customs into the United States. So that's been part of the problem with supply and demand. And we're going to do birthday because they're waiting on their things to make it the rest of the way here. They're looking at sourcing some things in the United States. I noticed one of the updates they did, so that maybe that they can kind of solve that problem. So before I do card number 3, I just want to mention an upcoming class that I'm having. It's the Scripture Blessing Box class. I have one more spot. I'm trying to fill one more spot. It's on Friday, April the 9th. I need the 5:30 slot. Actually, I think we might have bumped it up to 6 o'clock. This class will take a little bit longer because you're going to be doing your own cutting of your designer series paper. It is $30 for this class, but you get half a package of the treat boxes, and that's they were in the January to June mini catalog, and they were actually look like Valentine's stuff. A half a package of the designer series paper, which is called Fine Art, your embellishments, and your ribbon. It'll be different from my ribbon. I didn't have the ribbon I was going to use when I made my samples. And the neat thing about this is there will be a little scripture that you can mount and put in each one of your boxes. Like on my flyer, I have, you make the ordinary extraordinary on the outside, but it has a different scripture on the inside. You can put a gift card in here. It could be a birthday present. It can be just a thinking of you or encouragement. It's always good to get encouragement with scripture. You can put candies in it to give to someone and lay the little gift card in on it and brighten their day. You know, if they can't have regular candy, well, there are all kinds of sugar-free options. But how cute is that? And what a nice little gift for just about anything. I need to know by this weekend if you can come or not. Like I said, I've got one more spot. These are really cute. I've shown you 2 of them now. You've seen the blue one and you've seen this pink one. So, sneak peeks, that's all you get. But let me know. This is one you do have to pay for in advance. So, we would need to make arrangements for payment. But that's not hard to do. So, let's trudge on here. Trudge. We're not trudging. We're making cards. This little card is so cute. And it actually can be a gift card holder. If you stick this bottom down along the edges, then you can stick a gift card or money inside. I sent that to my grandson today. In fact, his birthday is Monday, so that he would hopefully get the card on his birthday. And I always like to give them just a little bit of money so they can aggravate their parents and go, "Can we go get something with my money?" So let me clear those off. This one uses the Sweet Ice Cream bundle. Also in the new little mini catalog. And I thought, well, I'll introduce it. It is going to pull forward into the new catalog, so that's fun. This is a fun fold card, as you can see. When I prepare your card kits, I always do your scoring for you, but on the PDF instructions, it tells you what size to cut this. It's actually cut 5.5 by 8.5, but then it's how you score it that makes it fold like this, because you score it at 2 3/4 and then at 7. So when you're putting it on your cutter, you go to 2 3/4 and then you slide it through and you do it at 7. And when you add these all up, it comes to the 8.5. And it goes this direction. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful about how you put this bottom piece of paper on here. I did use the Oso Ombre. That's how come it's not just a solid piece. It's kind of a little bit variegated. And stamped it in Happy Birthday in Rich Razzleberry. So I'm going to go ahead and do the stamping so that you can see it kind of beginning to take shape. There you go. Probably can't see because I moved. Ta-da. I'm going to close Rich Razzleberry up because that's kind of like red. It gets on you no matter what you do. I'm going to go ahead and mount this one because my tape roller won't work. And go this way and go this way. And kind of eye it up so it's equal on all the sides. So the white piece goes on the inside. And I've stamped a sentiment on mine. This piece goes on the top. And I think I can go ahead and see the back of it looks like the ice cream cone. So you could use the punch. This one has a punch. That's what makes it a bundle. It's got a stamp set called Sweet Ice Cream. Has that nice happy birthday and a thank you. Treat yourself. You melt my heart. You're so cool. And then you can punch out the cone and the ice cream scoop, or the scoop of ice cream. So let me get this one mounted. You know what I need to do? Let me take my bone folder and do what I was demonstrating from the very beginning of how to make your cards lay flat so you're not, and sometimes they still don't want to lay flat, but let's put this on the right side up so we're not spilling our ice cream right out of our cone. There you go. And then we can tie this. And I just tied it in a knot. I didn't try to make a fancy bow. Sometimes it's difficult to tie those, and I just kind of wanted the color and the sparkly, because look at this. This is Pool Party. Let me see which it is. Oh, no, Playing with Patterns Ribbon Combo Pack. So it's got some sparkle. I'm not going to trim those just yet because now I need to lay that aside and work on my ice cream cone. That's Daffodil Delight, and it's punched out with the laying circle die, oval dies. And on the retiring list, you need to pay attention because this one is pulling forward, but the stitched labels, stitch shape is not pulling forward. So if you have a preference and you would like your own stitched shape, you probably should get it ordered. The layering circles, which are the circles with the little scallop, they are retiring, and the layering squares. So we will have to find some new favorites. That's the cone, and these are the little designs on the cone, and I just did them both. Didn't have to stamp off. These are distinctive stamps, and so the way they are made, they take ink in different ways on different parts of the stamp. I mean, when you look at it, it looks like it's just all the same, but once you ink it and stamp it, you get that variegation in it that really stands out. So I'm going to close that and see. So I chose for our ice cream scoops Coastal Cabana and Terracotta Tile. And the only reason I did that is because I looked at the paper, and I wanted to choose some colors that were in the paper that I hadn't used in another card, because sometimes we're doubling up on colors, and it gets hard then to try to borrow a stamp or make it work. So I'm going to stamp this little guy off because he's pretty dark the first time, and sometimes I just experiment to see, well, he's not really dark enough the second time. Let's try that again. That one. Yeah. I like it stamped off. I like him. I don't want him to be so... And so I need to see. He'll go in like this. I call it a he. I don't know why I'm calling my ice cream a he. Just because I am, I guess. And then there are some sprinkles that you can stamp for a little detail. There you go. And I'm going to clean that off because I'm going to change colors now. That was the Coastal Cabana. Reminds me of summer and cool. And I don't guess we really need cool yet. You know what? I think I'm going to flip it around and kind of decide if I'm going to do this one that way too. I'm pretty sure I am. Yeah. Just touched it lightly just to, and I probably should be using the piercing mat, but I have kind of found that if I move that around on my table, I find different places, so it'll take the ink, transfer the ink from the stamp to paper. So yeah, how about that? All right, let me get them cleaned. Clean. Okie, close this up because terracotta tile is retiring. So if it's a color that you like and you would like some more of it, like I said, you probably should move on it, because some things are while supply lasts, and other things they're putting on back order because they know they have it coming. Like that. And see, I don't need the cone, so that's why I'm tried to plan that out so that I could stamp just the scoop of ice cream and not the cone too. I have my ice cream, that in there, and I did not put them on dimensionals. I just did them flat on this. I think I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the Daffodil Delight layer because it has the dimensionals on it. And you just kind of line that up, and then you just decide which order you want your ice cream in. You know, when you go to Braum's, sometimes you have to tell them if you want your cappuccino chunky chocolate on the bottom or the top with your peanut butter cup. That's what I get. I really like the peanut butter cup on top. It's way, 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 way sweeter. And then by the time I get to the cappuccino chunky chocolate, kind of backing off the sweet a little bit. Now, the tricky part on this one is you do not want to put your dimensionals underneath the bottom part also, because the card won't open if you do that. So you kind of have to plan and be a little bit careful about where you put those, or you will accidentally stick your card shut. So I don't need those long tails. And because this is tied, it's a little bit loose, it will slide up and down, and you can just kind of position that in a way that looks nice wherever you want it. Now I am going to put 3, but I'm going to lay it back down, and they need to kind of go right down in here. So they're close to the bottom where the opening is, but not covering it. Okay. So take the release paper off. And kind of eye that up. Look at that. Now, if I didn't stick it, I can move this down, but I may have stuck. See, that one got a little bit low, but here's what I can do about that. I can take my embossing buddy, which is kind of a powder, and deactivate the sticky on that. You know how whenever you handle something that's sticky too much, it won't stick anymore? Well, that powder will make that happen, so that if I don't want it to stick. Alright, let me throw these things away. Because what I'm going to do now is put my sprinkles on here. And the reason I'm even going to demonstrate it, we have this product called a U-Pick-It tool. And you've probably seen it. One end is what I call the pokey end, or the piercing end. And it comes apart and has a little spatula. It also has nubs that will emboss, that you can interchange on this end. This end has a putty tip, and it's sticky, so you can use it to pick up small things. If you have trouble handling sequins or, you know, these little things. And the reason I even wanted to do some individuals, I wanted to add some little pops of color. And I'm going to use glue that we don't sell at Stampin' Up. But this is a neat way to stick these little things down. And sometimes they're a little bit hard to get off. I just use my finger to kind of pry it off. I can see where the edge of it is, and I just reach and use my finger. And I think they stay on. They, yeah, it squirts out from underneath it a little bit, but that's not a big deal. I don't think I want that color. I think I want a yellow one. And see, the neat thing about doing it this way is you can kind of pick your colors. And that one. And then if I want to do one up here. And I'm going to put my pen back on here, because if it dries out in the neck, it's a hot mess. What color should we use? I think we need one of these. I don't know if there's a right side and a wrong side to those. I never did figure that out. So I put 3 down there, and I've got 5 scattered out up there. And that is card number 3. So this is the U-Pick-It tool. I have a hard time sometimes squeezing the putty out, but it's kind of one of those you have to be patient. You give it a little bit of a twist, and you wait just a little bit, and it kind of slowly oozes out. And there's probably a reason, because I think if you just squeezed it, it would come out like toothpaste, and then it wouldn't be usable to you. So it's better to go slow and to keep this end covered, because this would jab your foot. If it falls off the table in the right way, the same with this. So that hasn't happened. I have poked myself with them, but not my foot. So I'm very careful, because that could be a serious injury. Just saying. So there you go. Birthday, happy birthday. Like I said, if you wanted to make it a gift card, you could just use some tear and tape or some of our Stampin' Seal Plus to stick it down so that your gift card would slide right down in there. But we're not going to do that. I don't need to finish the inside. You can put whatever sentiment you would like inside. And get clear off my area. Put the stamps back in the tub, because I've got one extra kit. Could be up for grabs, but you're going to have to let me know, like, right now if you want it or not, because I'm going to make it into cards myself. Alright, so look at this one. Hey, Betty. That one uses the Hailey birthday chick. Cute little bundle. get my stuff out here so you can kind of see what we got going on. There's the chicken. Here's the let's celebrate. There's the happy birthday. And trying to get down so I can show you the stamp set. Excuse me. It's called Hey Birthday Chick. It's going to be in the new catalog. It may be back ordered right now, but there are also dies that coordinate. We did this chick last month, so we're doing the baby chick this month, and I'm already headed off to use that chick because they're so cute. And look at frizzy hair there. They coordinate with a set that we had at Celebration several years ago. So, okie dokie, let's talk a little bit about this one. Let me turn to the right page so I can give you the right information. Hey Birthday Chick. The cardstock used on this one is real red. And believe it or not, this black and white paper is from the True Love Designer Series paper. That paper is black and white and has been so useful because when I first saw it, I thought, oh, I don't even want that. But it has definitely grown on me. The other side is just a black and white stripe. Today we're going to use this flower side. Look how cute that is. I mean, kind of looks like spring, but it's cute, just black and white. We're going to cut our fence out. And you know what I think I'm going to do this time? I didn't do it for the class, but we have these foam adhesive sheets. And if I put them, some of this, let's see, that's probably big enough, behind my piece of cardstock, because it's kind of like dimensionals, a sheet that's not cut into shapes, and put it on here. I almost messed it up. So that I can cut this out and then it'll stand up off the paper without having to mess with it like what we have to sometimes, of getting dimensionals behind it, because it's already going to have the dimensional behind it. So let me run that through and see how it turns out. I didn't do the pre-cutting on this one. So you're going to have to listen to my machine pop. And the cool thing about it, you think, oh, that's so thick, I don't think that's going to even cut. But it does. And look, it even puts some texture on the fence posts. And it just comes right out. And for now, it still has the release paper on the back, because we'll take that off in a minute. So I'm going to cut that circle out of the black and white flower. And hang on a second while I run it through the Magic Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. You have to remember all those words. It's going through. I gave you a square, but it didn't even have to be centered. So I can throw the extra piece away. And I did the red. I went ahead and die cut that one. Move this little guy out of the way. So it was already, but those are retiring. That's the set, the stitched shapes that are retiring. So you get to use a punch, the 1.5 inch circle punch. And look, I have glitzed that up by accident. I took a card apart and I needed a place to put the jewels. And so I just stuck it on top of my Memento Black. And then I've never taken them off. So it's just blinged out a little bit. I laugh. I'm like, who else has bling on their black? And then punch this out. If you stamp it in the center. And the neat thing about circles, like I don't have to sit here and try to get it up and down this way and across this way, because it's a circle. So when I get ready to mount it, it's when it's going to be important then you know, I can still mount it just about any way I want to there, but when I'm putting it on the card is when it's going to be important to line the words up and make them straight. So punch that out. Let's stamp our chickens. Okay, that was probably the cardstock I was supposed to stamp the chickens on, but we're going to make it work. Use the bone folder to sharpen that fold. So you may have noticed that this back basic white has been run through an embossing folder. That's the brick and mortar. So I'm going to do that. And this is one of those dynamic embossing folders, which means it's thick and heavy compared to the one that we started with, that greenery one. That was more normal. This one is beefier, thicker. You have to build your sandwich a little bit different in your whatever machine you're using to run it through. And I am kind of careful to line the bricks up because you don't want it wonky. That would drive you crazy probably. So the nice thing about our new machine, it has, this is like the platform. It's labeled number 1, and it has instructions of how to build your sandwich. I'm using a 3D embossing folder, and so I use platform number 1. I put this on it with the hinge first, and then we have a blue type, well, gray, I guess. It's number 4, and you put that on top of it, and that makes it thick enough then when it goes through the machine, it applies pressure and texturizes that cardstock for you. So I'm running it through. I can't really put it up underneath the camera because I lowered my camera today so that you are down closer to my work area. Look at that. And it's dynamic. I mean, you can kind of see how that stands up off the texture. And there is a definite right and wrong to this one. Some of them I have a hard time telling which is the right side and which is the wrong side. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this one down so I can build the other part of it. So I just run some. And it's cut that 1/4 inch smaller, so you kind of just eye it up, put it on in the center. This circle will go. This one is on dimensionals, so it stands up. Okay, what did I do with them? I had them right here because it's probably under my papers. There they are right there. So it's not flat on the red circle. And I'm going to put 3. I kind of offset them a little bit. 2 isn't really enough on the top and the bottom. 4 is really kind of too many on this size of the circle. Might as well just put some of that sheet stuff. So kind of center it on your stitched circle. And I'm going to go ahead and stick this down. The neat thing about these flowers, there's not a right way and a wrong way. There are leaves that go both directions and go sideways. So you just kind of pick it how you want it here. And you're going to cover up part of it with the fence and a chick. And then this one is going to stick on down here. Our fence is going to go. I'm not going to stick all those on yet because we have to build our baby chicks. And I need a piece of, I don't think I'm going to bore you with the whole process because I've got one more card. And I don't like for these to go over the hour. So there's the chick. And there's 2 of them on the front of this. I don't know if I can get that second one on this little piece. Don't think so. I shall find another little piece. I have all kinds of little pieces. Look. Like anything that's big enough to maybe use later, I keep. I've got a whole box down here. And believe it or not, I use it up pretty often. So we used markers this time and not Stampin' Blends. because I thought, well, let's do something different. So my little chick has a red hat. He could have any color hat that you had a marker to color it. I just picked red. And he has So Saffron for his, I want the little nub end. I think I'm going to color his nose So Saffron, and I'm going to color his feet So Saffron. Kind of hate to do the mask the same color. So what I might do is reach over here and get my Daffodil Delight, if I can find it. That's So Saffron. Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to use a blend on the mask, because you can definitely tell the difference between So Saffron and Daffodil Delight. See, his beak shows up better. If I had colored the whole thing, his beak wouldn't show up. So I'm going to have, in fact, I have the marker over there. It's just, there's a table between me. And then the dies. That's how we're going to cut this little guy out. And you can see then there's one up. And this one is the opposite. His mask is the darker and his beak is the lighter. So just feel free to color yours any way you wish. There should be a string that you can tie in a bow to embellish that front with. And you should have some of the matte black dots. Good grief, matte black dots. They just kind of add a little bit of detail to it. And then on the inside, this is kind of a birthday card. So whatever your sentiment that you want for the inside. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here now and put all of this together, because I think you kind of get the idea. I'll go ahead and color just so you can see. I think I'll do this one opposite, and that way you can see the difference. Give his beak the yellow, and then color his mask. And I am going to use the nib. You know, these do have a brush end, even the markers. And then the smaller, I call it nib. For these small areas, that brush is kind of big, and you end up coloring parts that you don't want to color. And it probably would have worked for the mask. But we'll just take our time and color it with the little nib end of it. I'm going to get his legs, and then I'm going to flip and use the brush just to show you the difference. Got used a lot yesterday, so it's not nice and sharp. And there you go. Cover those back up. In the way. Happy birthday goes on the inside. So like I said, I'll post these pictures when I get done. Maybe not immediately when I get done, but when I'm resting in my chair later this evening, so that you can see the finished product. My to-go kits, they do have PDF instructions, so you have a picture on them also to see what they looked like. And just a word, the strawberry card, the picture has the green paper, but your kit has the red and white check. So don't panic whenever you see that. I decided to use paper that's not available right now, so your card will look a little different, and I did not update my picture. But I think that's about the only change that might catch you off guard. So we're down to the last card. Every time I say, this is my favorite card, and then I go to the next one and I go, no, this is my favorite card. Well, I did an impulse buy. I had seen some cards made with this stamp set, and I'm like, oh, I need that stamp set. It's called Gift of Hope. And then it comes And timing is kind of crazy, so I'm not going to be able to use it for what I originally purchased it for. But I made an Easter card for this class. And it says, "He is not here, for he has risen." It's the Matthew 28:6. Uses the Hydrangea Haven paper. It's called Hydrangea Hill. That particular suite has two names, which drives me crazy. The Pretty Soft Seaside, the Gorgeous Grape, and then Wishing You the Blessings of Easter. Because I thought you could send it to your preacher, you can send it to friends, to shut-ins. Just, there could be several, you know. You're like, well, I don't send Easter cards. Well, as a rule, we probably don't send Easter cards. But what's wrong with sending a card that says, "He's not here, he is risen"? Because that's such a positive thing to share with people, especially after COVID and after being kind of individually, you know, not being out amongst people. So this stamp set serves a really good purpose. It says, "Wishing you the blessings of," or "the greatest gift of Easter is," hope was the choice for that one. And then "He lives." These flowers were really pretty. And there was a whole set of cards that that I saw. But we'll stick with this one for this time. And then if you're interested in making more, well, you know, I can always accommodate that. So this card is probably one of the easy, because we're going to put our designer series paper on the piece of Gorgeous Grape. I think it's Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather. Look, my fingernails match this paper because I love this color. My fingernails are called Lavender. But look at that. Purple Posy, Lavender, kind of all the same color family. Purple Posy is retiring. And that one is the one that did not have the ink pad because they never could get it to hold the color like they... That's sort of their trademark, is the fact that their stamps. And this one has a very, very, very small border by design. But kind of have to be more careful when you're placing it because it's just... See, I might have gotten a little bit too far to the right, but isn't that pretty? So we're going to stamp our church in Misty Moonlight. Oh, this is a pretty blue also. And it gets cut out by hand. Gasp, I know, by hand. No punch, no die. But you know what? Scissors and paper is what we had before we had punches and dies, so nothing unusual about that. And I'm going to set that aside. I can see it's still shiny like it's wet. And then "He is not here, for he has risen." I'm going to stamp that in Old Olive. And I will try to stamp it up underneath so you can see. But it is hard to get this straight. Let me see if I can get it to cooperate with me. And if you squish the stamp too hard, the words are not very sharp. It kind of... Alright, that turned out. You can kind of see on mine that I might have squished it just a little too hard and they're not as crisp and clear as I like. Okie dokie. So the label is from the Tasteful Label dies. We have used these dies early in the COVID. We did a stamp class and I think I used every one of the dies, and it coordinates with a stamp set, and I think we used every one of those. But they are they're in the new catalog, so they'll be around for a while longer. I'm going to put dimensionals on this one. I think 4, maybe. Yeah, I think 4 will get it. And take the release paper off. So you notice that I did my stamping first on this. Anytime you're using dimensionals, you'll want to do your stamping when you can do it flat, because if you tried to stamp this now, it would not stamp. You'd get words up here because it's going to be on a dimensional, but the paper is going to cave in and you're going to be disappointed. So sometimes you kind of have to stop and think a little bit about what order it needs to be done in. And then this ribbon is from Flowers for Every Season combo. We had used that gingham one and cut it in half on our very first card. It's a combo pack, so there are 2 or 3 choices of ribbon in that pack. So I'm just gonna, there it goes. I just kind of want a smallish bow. It doesn't have to be great old big. If you want both tails to go down, you just kind of pull on it and play with it a little bit. I would recommend a glue dot for attaching it. And then the church, I'm not going to sit here and cut the whole thing out. You know what it looks like to cut something out. But the church is going to get mounted on dimensionals on this side of the label. And because this is really, really light cardstock, I did not put a liner inside here because you'll be able to see the words just fine. I'm going to stamp it in the Misty Moonlight, which is the darker blue against the lighter blue. Don't get in there. Oh, it did. Little. See, that's what happens sometimes. So it's kind of hard to see. I think that's going to be all right. If not, that's when I'll put a liner in there to cover it up. Yep, gonna be fine. Let's close that. So let me find a place. Look, I've put all my stamps on the wet. I'll clean them off when I get done. So, this is card number 5. Tried to do a variety, different occasions. I really, really, really appreciate each and every one of you. I think I only have one viewer live right now, but I have someone else who picked up her kit, and she'll be making her cards. But I really enjoy this, and I enjoy each one of you. So if you have any questions, just let me know. My next event was that April the 9th, the blessing boxes. And then my next card class will be April, let me flip my calendar. The 29th, I believe, is what I've got calendared. On a Thursday, usually 2 seatings. Can always add a day if I need to. So if that's no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and say bye. And thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Happy card making. Bye.